Well, how y'all are this afternoon? This is your buddy George Jones over here at the Bergen Gun Range with my next installment on, hey, I got this old used gun. The old used gun I got today is this guy. The Charter Arms Undercover. The original Charter Arms Undercover. Now, the Charter Arms Company was owned by a guy named Douglas McClanahan. Douglas McClanahan was already a successful gun designer, having worked for Colt, Smith & Wesson, and Ruger for several years before he formed the company Charter Arms. He had designed the Police Service 6 for Ruger, and he had made several design modifications and changes to Smith & Wesson revolvers and Colts over the years, updates and so forth for Colt. And it designed several firearms for Ruger, and it designed a .22 rifle that Colt manufactured for a while, and was just a fairly prolific gun designer. In 1964, he decided to strike out on his own, and he created this. The Charter Arms Undercover is a .38 special revolver with what we call a monoframe. The frame of the gun is one piece. It doesn't have a side plate on it, okay? All of the parts are put into the gun, through the frame, and the various sub-assemblies of the frame are bolted on. Trigger guard, pistol grip, grip frame, so forth. And it's a pretty good design. Super Vel ammunition was starting to come into vogue at the time, and he designed the gun in such a way that it would accept Super Vel ammunition, the type of ammunition that eventually became known as Plus P or Plus P Plus. Basically high velocity .38 special ammunition. It's a very elegant little gun. It weighs about 14.5 ounces. It is steel. The grip frame back here is aluminum, and the trigger guard is aluminum, but the frame itself, the monoframe itself, is in fact milled steel. Of course, it's steel barrel without a alloy liner or alloy jacket on it or anything like that. It's a pretty solid gun, and at the price point started to give the Chief, the Model 36, a real run for its money. These guns were, probably about $75 when they were new. And a Smith & Wesson Chief was well over $100 in the mid-1960s. I've got a target up out here at 15 yards, which is probably stretching the design parameters and marksmanship and accuracy parameters of this gun out a pretty long way. I've got Federal 158 grain round nose lead ammunition, factory ammunition. And I'm going to load her up with about 5, which is all it holds, right here, and give this gun a whirl from the bench and see what it'll actually shoot like at 15 yards. There we go. Get us some old ear mufflers on here. Hopefully it won't blow up like the last gun I had out here. Get that gun back on single action. Get a good and appropriate grip on it and see what it'll actually do. Not too bad of a kicker. Not too bad at all. That small grip is a little inconvenient for me. But we're going to shoot 5 right here and see how it shoots. And let's see. It's 3, 4, 5. Yeah, it's a little severe. The grip size is not very big. It doesn't allow you to assume the recoil well, but let's walk down there and try it and see what it looks like. 15 yards. It's all over the place like a mad woman's underclothes. 15 yards, we got 1, 2, 3, 4. I don't know where the fifth one's at. I'll just tell you the truth. But then again, it's outside of the design parameters of the gun. You know, the gun's basically a 7-yard gun. But, you know, you can put 4 on the meat at 15 yards, and this gun is, going by the serial number, this gun was manufactured somewhere in the late 1960s to early 1970s. It's in the 200,000 range, and they made probably almost 1 million of these guns in the run. Brother McClanahan, he 1973 or 4, he brought in a guy named Paul Eckley, who they were association on other deals. In the late 80s, the original Charter Arms firm was starting to get into trouble, basically because they were kind of limited in they needed to move on. They wasn't moving on. Eckley wound up with the company, reorganized it under a thing called MKS, and are currently in production and have quite a few more guns and gun designs in their line than they currently have. Charter Arms manufactured a lot of cool guns. They manufactured 22 Magnum Pathfinder 4-inch barrel target revolver that was basically a pretty good woods loafer's gun. I've got one of them. I don't know where it's at. I think it's down at Dad's or something, but I haven't seen it in years. He manufactured the Tracker in a gun called the Tracker, which was basically a lightweight .357 Magnum 5-shot revolver with a 3-inch barrel that was designed to, I don't know what it's designed for, but it's a pretty good old gun. They manufactured the AR-7 rifle. They picked the AR-7 survival rifle up from Armalite in the mid-1960s and manufactured it all the way up to the 70s. And they also manufactured a AR-7 rifle in a pistol configuration, which was somewhere between a .22 caliber broom handle and I don't know what. You know, but they were a pretty cool gun and a pretty cool company, and still are. You can actually still buy Charter Arms revolvers. They're under a different management, but they're still a pretty solid, pretty reliable. You know, it's like you're not going to go out and shoot IPSC with a Charter revolver, but it's the kind of gun you can use for defensive purposes. You know, and it'll work very handily for you. Value of this gun in this age and this condition is probably somewhere in the neighborhood of $180 to $225. Now, a new Charter Undercover, which they still make, is somewhere in the neighborhood of $300. You know, so if you see one of these guys like this with the little banana grip on it and so forth, and the older features, you know, it's worth a couple $100 if you want to buy it, like that. So, well, that's about the size of it. Old Charter Arms Undercover, the original gun. While I choke to death, bear with me. If you enjoy my content, like-a-tate, share-a-pie, commentate, and subscribe. Patreon link in the description. And that's about the size of that. Appreciate y'all coming out and watching my stuff. All right, then. We'll see y'all.